and Faith, and welcome to the Truth About Weight Loss Summit. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you
Hey,
so much,
Chef AJ. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Oh my God, the pleasure is all mine. I would love for you to tell the viewers your story, your weight loss journey.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Well, mine started over probably about 10 years ago. Found myself very overweight, very sluggish, tired, getting sick on and off, inner ear infections, just, the standard American person, just overweight. You're okay with being overweight, but you really feel bad. And my husband, he was like, Queen, let's try this diet. Let's try that diet. And he's never really had an issue.
Right.
Will's never really had an issue with his weight. And so we tried every diet you could think of, and they never, we never did them long term. May have lost weight and we gained that weight back and some.
Mm-hmm.
And so about, in 2015, again, I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I stumbled across a book called The 21-Day Revolution. And I read it by Marco Borges. And I read it, and it was talking about, living a plant-based lifestyle. And I had heard of veganism before, because actually over 20 years ago, we had vegan friends. But truth be told, they were overweight vegan friends.
Yes.
And at that time, I was the standard American diet lifestyle. And I was like, okay, you have your vegan food and I'm going to eat my chicken wing. Okay. Because at that time I wasn't that heavy, but they were, morbidly obese, but they were vegan. And I was like, well, no, thank you. And so fast forward 10 years later, I found myself very overweight and stumbled across this book, The 21-Day Revolution. So I read about it because they was using the word, whole food, plant-based. And I was like, okay, that sounds like something that may interest me. And before I could finish reading the book, I stopped on page 20 and I went and got all of the ingredients because it has all these recipes in there. And I called my husband. I was like, look, we're gonna do this whole food plant-based challenge here for 21 days. And we're gonna eat the food, and the food was amazing. And we both lost weight. I think I lost I lost like 8 or 9 pounds, and Will lost like 15 pounds. Men drop weight really, really fast. And the food was amazing. It was so good. And I said, we can do this. I can eat like this every day, eating plants. And the rest was history. We didn't look back.
Nope.
And the last, I think, paragraph of that book changed my life forever.
Yes.
Because Mr. Borges just thanked Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn, Dr. T. Colin Campbell, and Dr. John McDougall for their work in the plant-based world. So I finished reading that book, and I immediately went and got their books, How to Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease by Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, because that ran in my family. The China Study by Dr. T. Colin Campbell, which talks about cancer, that ran in my family. And Dr. John McDougall, and about the Start Solution. And I tell you, I haven't looked back. I read all 3 of the books. My eyes were just open to really, this is more about losing weight. It's about gaining my overall health.
Absolutely.
And not just my health, but my family's health.
Yes.
Right. And so I haven't looked back, and that's been almost 7 years now. And I'm just super excited about this lifestyle. And for my husband, I'll let him share his story, but he was okay with his weight where he was. But when we went plant-based, you want to tell them what you told me when we went plant-based?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I told Queen, I said, and I call Faith Queen, but I told Queen, I said, hey, I don't mind making the change, making the transition, the transformation, as long as you can do dessert.
Right.
Because I love desserts. I just love desserts. So I told her, as long as you can still make my desserts, Queen, I'm 100% in. Because, we like doing things together, definitely like doing things together as a family. So when Queen say, no problem, I'll make sure we get some dessert. And I say, good, I'm in. Count me in 100%.
Definitely.
I didn't really have a problem, I thought, with weight. And we're going to show you some before and after pictures, Chef AJ. But I found out that I had high blood pressure when I went to the dentist. And I went to the dentist, and he said, your pressure is mighty high. And I said, well, he said, well, let me take it again. He took it again, it was still high. He took it again, it's still high. He took it the third time. I think the third time, he was like, you really need to go get this checked. So that's when I found out that I had high blood pressure. But I was 235 pounds at that time. And I looked buff, so I didn't look like I was
morbidly
fat.
obese.
Right. Didn't look like I was fat. And I can remember one day I was at work and I was standing up and I was in the back room and I got very dizzy. And I just grabbed the table because I could not get myself balanced. I didn't know what was going on. It really scared me because I had no control over how I felt. It was just very dizzy feeling. But I never told Queen because I know what she would have said, you need to go to the doctor. So, so when I did go to the doctor, they gave me these meds for high blood pressure. And I took the meds and it didn't do anything because it didn't change my eating. I didn't get to the root of the problem, which was the food. I didn't change my eating. I just kept eating the same thing, taking the pills, and the pressure did not drop. So he increased the dosage. Pressure did not drop. Once we made our transition and transformation, I went back to the doctor. He said, wow, the medication is working. And I said, no, the medication is not working because I'm not taking it. He said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, my family, we're whole food plant-based. And he said, wow, incredible. And it was like I told him something brand new. He was all shocked. He was like, really? And I said, yes, sir. That's what I did, doc. But you know what? One thing I want to say, but they never asked me about what I was eating. They never said anything to me about my lifestyle or anything like that. They just felt because I walked in the door, I looked fit, that it wasn't an issue. And because everyone else ate that way, they didn't associate my high blood pressure with what I was putting in my mouth. So anyway, but desserts for me. So that was my trigger.
Well, yeah, that's how I won my husband over. But even with that being said, the weight just fell off of him. I mean, you lost like 80 pounds.
Oh, wow, yes.
And 89 pounds,
89
I think.
pounds,
and I lost over a 2 year span, lost over 100 pounds, right?
Yes.
And it was just an amazing journey. And I'm gonna say in the beginning, I was a little nervous because I was concerned about our kids not getting the nutrients they need. Exactly. But I began to just research, and I read Dr. McDougall's book, and I love Dr. John McDougall. But anyway, found out that kids can live a plant-based lifestyle and get all the nutrients they need, and they can thrive. And so I was like, hey, we're all in. And I transitioned my kids took me about 6 months to get them fully transitioned to a plant-based lifestyle. But now, almost 7 years later, our entire family is whole food plant-based, and we will have it no other way. So I'm just super excited about this lifestyle, and I'm forever grateful. About a year into my journey, I found Chef AJ, and I learned about calorie density. So I'm grateful for you, Chef AJ, and all the work that you're doing. And just sharing the good news about, we don't have to settle for less than health and being overweight and accepting, well, there's nothing else we can do because my mama was big, my dad was big at running my family. Oh, in my family, we used to say, by the way, we're big boned women, So once I became plant-based and lost all that weight, I was like, well, my bones not big. I was just fat. So, but people love hearing good news about their bad habits, and Dr. McDougall said that, and that is so true. Yes. I had to get uncomfortable a little bit and change my lifestyle so that I can be comfortable today. That's right. And not be running back and forth to the doctor. My kids hardly ever get sick. And if they do, they recover within 2 days with no medicine, right? And because I believe that our bodies were designed to heal, repair, and restore itself. But we have to set the atmosphere right on the inside. That's right. And the only way we can do that is through eating more plants. That's what I believe with all of my heart. And I believe that because I'm a walking testimony of it. So absolutely. I like I said, I'm just forever grateful for having found this lifestyle. And So
after 35 years, Chef AJ, I've served in the military for 35 years, and I can remember right at the end when I was getting ready to retire, because I retired at 60. So right at the end when I was getting ready to retire, I was still running 2 miles in about 13 minutes. And some of the younger guys would still ask me, hey, Sarge, how are you able to do that? I mean, you're an old guy. He said, how are you able to run 2 miles in 13 minutes? I said, do you really want to know? And they was like, yeah, tell us. And I said, well, I mean, I'm a whole food plant-based eater. I don't eat any meat, eggs, cheese, dairy, none of that whatsoever. And they was like, really? And I'm like, yes. They said, well, Sarge, it must be working. I said, absolutely. I said, because you're 30 years old, I'm 60 years old, and I can outrun you. So, so they always were like, man, Sarge, it's got to be working. I love that. And I told them, I said, hey, it's all about the food. I said, it's no different than what you put in gas in your car. I said, would you put watered down gas in your car? And if you did do that, how long will it operate efficiently? Right. So the same thing that happened with us in our bodies. If you put bad food in your body, it's going to perform inefficient. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you have to put good quality food in your body, whole food, plant-based food in your body, and it will reward you the same. Yes. So I loved it. I loved it. Absolutely.
Most definitely.
Yes.
So we wanted to share our before and after pictures with you, Chef AJ, if that's okay.
That would be great.
Yeah. Again, I was 229. Yes. Will was like 235, something like that. And yeah, so here are our before and after pictures. And you see Will had the buff look. I like to call it the buff look, but he was really fat, y'all. Yeah. Okay. All right. But that's
I was big bone.
Oh, you were big bone.
I was big bone.
Okay, big bone. Right. So, but he didn't look too bad. And so yeah, but he was really fat. And of course, I had the mama look. No offense to any moms out there, whatever, wherever you are in life, it's okay. Right. But yeah, I was very overweight and I felt bad. Mm-hmm. And these pictures were taken about it was about a year and a half or so after we transitioned to plant-based. Mm-hmm. This is when I was at my lowest, which was 129 pounds. Yep. I had gotten down to 129.
No surgery. No stomach surgery. No liposuction. None of that.
Will had gotten down to 145. Yes. Okay. And I was like so ecstatic because I was like, my goodness. And that was let me tell you, the first 6 months, I did not exercise. Right. Because I've never been an exerciser, right? But I was like, you know what? I got to eat. So let me eat this plant-based food. And the weight just fell off. I mean, it was just coming off. Mm-hmm. And I think the first year I lost like 60 pounds. Mm-hmm. The second year, I lost about 40 pounds. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then that 6 months into the third year, I met Chef AJ, found out about calorie density, and I dropped another 10 pounds. And I was like, my goodness, whoa, okay. So it truly is the food. Now, with saying that, Chef AJ, this is a weight loss summit, right? Yeah. Right. Yes. So something that I think we have to hold on to and remember, it is a journey.
Yes, it is.
And the same thing you did to lose the weight,
right?
It's the same thing you're going to have to do to keep the weight off. So if it's not sustainable, you're not going to keep the weight off. That's right. With that being said, there's also a wide range of plant-based eating. Some people can afford to eat the more rich calorie food, like, your peanuts and the avocados and things like that. But if you're, trying to lose weight, we sort of refrain from the avocados and the nuts and things like that. At least minimize them. I'll say that, right? Minimize them. Mm-hmm. But when we were at our lowest, we were minimizing or really omitting the higher calorie dense foods. Right. Now, that's a choice, right? Because nuts are healthy, avocados are healthy, pasta's okay if you can afford to eat them. So I like to call it, want to live the lavish plant-based life. Right. There's a range. You can gain a little weight being plant-based, right? Yes. You can gain, depending on how much you eat, you can gain a whole lot of weight. But we found, because this is a journey, that for us, it's about a 20 to 25 pound range that we can find ourselves in if we choose to add the more decadent plant-based foods.
Right.
And so over the past year and a half, for me, it's been one of those years, and y'all already know about COVID and all that homeschooling kids.
Yeah.
So I have chosen to include some of those more decadent foods back on my plate. But it's okay, because I'm okay with where I'm at. So I want to share with you the range, which our range is for us is about a 15 to 20 pound window. Okay. So here you see us, we were at 129, my husband 145, plant-based, you know, no flours, no added sugars, no salt, no oil, none of that. Just we had really tightened down the screws. Well, we took this picture here today, right? Today. And so we're about 20 pounds heavier. Still 20, 25 pounds heavier. Still look lean, look healthy, feel good, right? I'm okay with where I'm at, right? So I just wanted to share that with individuals that, you know, oh, I go plant-based, I'm gonna lose weight, keep it off, this, that, another way. If you don't do what you did to lose it, you will gain some back. And that's all about energy density. And that's a good thing. You know, once you understand energy density, and for me, it makes it real simple, right? So based on your goals, love yourself where you are. I would say that, love yourself where you are, and understand it's a journey.
It is.
And it's in my book, if you're eating more plants, if you're eating 100% plants, you're on my A list, right? But it is a range. And like I said, the past year and a half for me, it's been a little bit trying time. And I might be telling too much information, Chef AJ, but if I may, because that's the only way I know how to do is keep it real, you know, the menopause thing going on. So that's another equation to add to the equation here that I'm trying to learn about, you know, how my body has changed in this stage of my life. But I guarantee you this, for me and my house, we are 100% whole food, plant-based.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And to me, that means no vegan, highly vegan processed foods brought in the store. If it's being processed, it's being processed in my house, right? But the vegan, highly vegan foods, we do not consume. We don't bring it in our home. So, but yes, I'm just loving this lifestyle. I'm just so grateful, like I said, and I will not turn back. We're raising our 3 children, whole food, plant-based, and I'm more excited for them because at 46, when I found out about this lifestyle, I was actually 44, I'm sorry, I was scared to death because all I knew was the way my mom had told, you know, just the culture of how we was raised to eat. And I know my mother did the best she could with what she knew. But when you know better, you do better, right? And there was no way that I was exposed to this information about the benefits of living a plant-based lifestyle. Could I allow my kids to eat the way I ate when I was growing up? I do not want them to you know, deal with the side effects of that lifestyle, which is, you know, sickness and obesity. Now you got children that are, you know, diabetics and things like that. So this is so important to me that I'm raising them this way. So when they grow up and they become adults, they can, you know, if they choose, which I hope they do, continue this lifestyle. They have the foundation of what is healthy eating. And healthy eating in my book is eating more plants. So that's our journey, Chef AJ, and it is a journey. We haven't arrived yet. I believe as long as we keep living, you learn something every day, you grow more, you live and learn. But again, as long as you keep eating plants, you're going to be okay.
Last thing I want to say about that too, Queen, is that when we initially started on this journey, our initial starting on this journey was to lose weight. Okay, but throughout our journey and throughout our learning and the education and experience, we now know that it's more important to just losing weight. It's all about gaining health. Okay, so we now look at the holistic approach of, hey, we're having better health. We look at the lifestyle medicine for quadrants, you know, a healthy weight, active living, emotional resilience. And we look at those things now. Those are the things that are focused for us now. And then also a healthy diet, which is whole food, plant-based. So those 4 quadrants is what we live by in our home. And we teach our children that as well. So it's about your goals, though. Whatever your goals is for you, as long as it's your goal, then you'll be happy with it. This is our goal. So we're happy with it. Okay. And we're healthy with it.
Right. And
Well,
I will say, you don't look like you're 61.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't look like I'm 50.
Yeah.
Let me brag on myself a little bit, but I definitely toss that up to just healthy living. And it's not too late. Let me say that, Chef AJ, because some people go, I've been like this all my life.
Right.
I'm 70 or I'm 60 or I'm that. It is never too late to do better.
No, it's not.
Okay? When you find out about better, you owe it to yourself.
That's right.
To do better.
To do better.
And you can do better. So I just wanted to say that because it is never too late. As long as you're breathing. That's right. And you got breath in your body, you can get up. It's never too late to grab a banana and eat that instead of a donut. You know what I'm saying? So it's just about making a choice to do better. Right. And if you slip and fall, get back up, get back in. Next bite, let it be a plant. Yep. Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, congratulations. You guys look incredible and you look great in both pictures, Faith. But the before picture, you look older.
Yes, I did look older. Let me pull that back up for you. Yeah. And I was, oh my goodness. I was in my 30s there.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like in my 30s there, like 34, 30. Let me say, I had Destiny when I was 36. So yeah, I was in my late 30s, early 40s.
Yes.
And yeah, both of us, we looked older. Yes, and now, when I tell people, I have grandkids, they're like, what? Yeah. You're too young to have grandkids. I'm like, yes. So yes, ma'am. I believe the food really do make a difference. The more plants you eat, the more, it just brings your youthfulness back and the vibrancy back. I mean, it's the food. As Dr. Michael Clapper would say, it's the food. And
nothing but the food.
And nothing but the food. So
that's right.
Yeah.
So did you struggle with weight your entire life, Faith? Were you overweight as a child, or was that something that happened more as an adult?
More as I was as an adult, but I kept eating the same food that I ate when I was a kid, right? But, just you keep doing it over a period of time. And that's the deception of, not living a so healthy lifestyle. Because, when you're younger, you're a lot more active. At least we were when I was growing up. We went outside and played. Yeah. These kids now, they're in the house doing this, so they're not moving as much. But, I was an active kid, ran outside, played, jumped trees and all that. And then, the older I get, I think by the time I graduated from high school, I wasn't overweight, but you could see the inflammation. And I don't have any pictures from high school, but you can see my face was all, sort of puffy, and I wasn't overweight, but I had that big bone look. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And just accepted it. That's how I was supposed to look. And I can remember going to the doctor probably at 20. And I remember the doctor telling me, your bad cholesterol is high. You need to, sort of watch what you're eating, because I don't know if that's the LDLs or HDLs, whatever, but the bad one. There was like this, she was like, it's really, really high. You need to, and I was like, oh, okay, you're young, you let that stuff go in one end or out the other until something bad happens. Correct. But I wasn't overweight as a young lady. The older I got, and then definitely after I had my daughter, the weight really came on. But I wasn't overweight. I can remember when I was in the Air Force, they had put me on the Fat Man program. Yeah. And I was weighing about right at 200 then, maybe 195. But yeah, they had me on the Fat Man program. But I've never really looked my weight. People would say, oh, look like you're overweight. So, I would play off of that. And plus I was big bone. Remember, I told you that earlier. So I was like, I'm not really that heavy. Yeah. But then as I got older in my 30s, and definitely after I had my daughter, the weight it was like, okay, I'm here to stay. Yeah. And it was, I was 230, I had gotten up to like 229. Yeah. So, yeah.
What is the fat? What's the fat? I have to ask, what's the Fat Man program?
The Fat Man program. Okay. Well, I was in the Air Force. and they put you on the Fat Man program, and that's when you was overweight and you had to go exercise every day. They never addressed what you was eating.
Right.
They just would tell you you're overweight and you need to go exercise. And so I did that. You know, I run around the track and, you know, I do the Zumba and all this kind of stuff. And I did that. And never once did I think about what I was putting in my mouth. Now that was over, you know, 28 years ago. Now I think they talk about nutrition more. And Will, he just retired. So I think they bring that nutrition aspect in. But back then it was like, you're on the Fat Man program, you gotta lose some weight. And they would tape you, you know, they give you a certain amount of time to reach your goal. And they would tape you and yeah. So, and you could possibly be thrown out of the military if you lose the weight. Of course, I dropped a few. I think I starved myself and, you know, did whatever I needed to do at that time. I went drastic measures to drop the weight, but then it just came right back again.
What diets had you tried? What's your first recollection of dieting?
Okay. Well, I did the Scarsdale diet, and I think that was, I don't know who wrote the book, but you had to eat a lot of vegetables. Eat a lot of vegetables, and then you could eat some meat, right? As long as it wasn't fried and all of that. And I did that to get into the military, right? It was called the Scarsdale diet, and I don't know if that was a piggyback off of the ketogenic. I'm not sure, but it was called the Scarsdale diet. So I remember doing that, and then I remember when I got with Will. Oh my God. I was like, well, let me say this, Chef AJ. When we first got together, within the first, was it 90 days?
90 days.
We both gained like 30 pounds. 30 pounds. I mean, because we was eating out, you know, whining and dining each other. I was cooking pork chops and biscuits with cheese. And come on, you know, I was trying, they say a way to a man's heart is through his belly, right? So I would cook all this food and everything. And we both, I mean, we just blew up. And so we was like, Queen, let's do the, was it the ketogenic?
Was it
when you had to eat all this meat?
I think that was like the anabolic diet.
Whatever.
Anabolic diet.
Whatever it was.
Which is a form of keto.
It was a lot of meat. We was eating all this meat and
cheese.
Oh my gosh, Chef AJ, I felt so bad. It was like I felt this heaviness in my chest. And I said, well, I can't do this. I can't do it. I don't feel good. I cannot do this. And then what else did we do? I know this 50 million man challenge. That's sort of just healthy eating.
We did that. The green, what was the guy from Oprah Winfrey? The green life, the green
something like that. Just all, you know, just healthy eating, you know, type things. And but I remember eating a whole lot of meat, and Will was like, that's supposed to shift your anabolic and you're gonna burn fat. And then I think it was just the keto. They call it keto now.
They call it keto now,
And I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. So so those was basically the ones we did, like the keto, and then just eating healthy, lean meats and all those kinds of things. And that was basically what we did.
We didn't understand what really healthy eating was. We thought we were eating healthy. That was just based on society and what they were saying. Because like when Queen wasn't overweight, when she came out of high school, I wasn't either. I came out of high school, I was 127 pounds, had a 27-inch waist. So I was very fit, but I was eating everything and anything. But one thing that we found out in this journey is that what happens is, it is a slight edge philosophy. It creeps on you over a period of time. So it doesn't hit you all at once, because if it did, most people probably will back off. But it didn't do that with us. It was a little bit at a time. So we thought everything was okay. And we never associated it with food. We always do things like, oh, well, I'm not exercising anymore. Well, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not as active anymore. But you got to understand, it's a compounded effort over a period of 10, 15, 20 years of doing the same thing over and over. And the food actually is getting worse during that period of time. And it just, after a while, your body's like, I'm done. I can no longer keep you at this weight. You're going to gain it. And here it is, along with the chronic illnesses and diseases.
So then you wake up like,
how in the world I get here? Yes, exactly.
So I'm guessing on those diets like the Scarsdale or the Fat Man program, you gained the weight back?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we did. Definitely.
Almost me. Oh, Chef AJ, this is awesome right here. I can remember Queen and I both did the Scarsdale the first time, dropped a little weight, the weight came off. We was like, oh yeah, this is great. So we gained the weight back. So I said, all right, Queen, let's just go back on the Scarsdale again. So we did the Scarsdale again. But this is so funny. This time, instead of us losing weight on the Scarsdale, we gained weight because we ate so much more food. It was the same type of food, which was bad, but we ate so much more. And we was like, man, the first time we did it, we lost weight. This time we gained about 5 or 10 pounds. I'm like, well, that ain't working either. So it was so funny, I tell you.
Yeah, that's incredible. When you first transitioned to a healthy, whole food, plant-based diet, did you experience any challenges?
I think the biggest challenge for me was, and I won't say learning the recipes, but what was the biggest challenge? I guess food preparation. Was a huge one, especially when you used to eating out conveniently. And now go from that to now having to prepare your food. And I used to hate it every Saturday. I would plan all my meals. Then I would go through and write down all the inventory, what I needed. And then I would go through and mark out what I had. And then I would go to the store, and that would take me hours on end. But I did it. I was like, I got to do this. I don't know how to cook this way. So I had to get the recipes. I had to make my menu. I had to, go through and do it. And I used to hate it, Chef AJ.
It was hard.
But over a period of time, it got quicker and quicker and quicker. Now I know the main staples to have in the house, beans, potatoes, rice, fruit, vegetables, just those simple staples in the house. But that learning curve of, going from just grabbing a box, throwing it in a microwave, the convenience or the pleasure trap, that was hard. Because now I'm preparing everything, right? And I'm learning all these recipes, but I did it because I was like, my health is worth it. It was worth the investment. It's either I go to the store, get all these plants, eat it, or I'm gonna keep going down the same road I went down, and getting sicker and sicker. So to me, the investment up front was worth the learning curve. And
we had no one, we had no one in this area that we could go to talk to about it. We were the only couple, matter of fact, let me rephrase that. We was the only family that was living a whole food, plant-based lifestyle in our area in Kentucky. It was very tough for us. However, we looked at the outcome. We knew based on what we had been reading that this was the best option for our family's longevity. So that's why we continued the journey. And it was tough. I used to watch Queen sit there for hours on Saturday. And then, that was tiring. And then have to go to the grocery store to purchase the food, then to come home and put up the food. But after we do that, of course, we got to pull out the food because we got to prepare the food. So it was like all day long. It was tough. It was tough early stages.
I would say that's the hardest part. But now, 6 years later, 7 years later, oh my goodness, there's so many, resources out there, like your channel. Just all the bloggers and plant-based, but 7 years ago, it was just hard, and not to mention not seeing someone that looked like myself. And not to be racial or nothing like that, but I was scared to death because I'm like, I don't see any black people eating like this. Well, you know what I'm saying? But I knew that we had to do something different. In order to get something different, I knew that we had to break the mold and do something different.
That's correct.
And so now it's a beautiful time because there's so many resources out there. You see more and more all walks of life. Embracing eating more plants, and it's just a wonderful time. But 7 years ago, I was scared to death because I ain't know no Chef AJ, no Dr. McDougal, no. But because I was seeking truth, truth came and found me, right? And I'm here today, 7 years later.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
I love how you said if food is being processed, it's being processed by me.
Right, definitely. Yeah, that way I know, what went in it to make it to, and you know what I found in this walk? The more you process food, the more you got to add stuff to it. Right? You take, I don't know, just say a banana. I don't know. I'm just using that. And just eat a banana, a ripe banana. Oh God, it's so good. But then you blend the banana. Now you got to wait a minute, I need to add something else to it to make it even sweeter. You know what I'm saying? I'm just using that for an example. Or you take some corn and, you know, meal it into
Oatmeal.
a flour or oatmeal. Yeah, just eat some oatmeal. Oatmeal, oat groats are amazing.
Yeah.
They are amazing.
Yes.
But take the oatmeal and then now turn it into a flour. Now it's not, it don't taste good anymore. Now you got to add sugar. You got to add sweeteners. You got to add spice. You got to add. So, you know, and there's nothing wrong with processing your food, but I like to process my food at home because then that way I know if it's any added sugar, then what kind of sugar? Is it processed sugar or is it fruit?
That's right.
If it's any added salt, well, how much added salt, right? And if it's any added oil, well, we don't cook with oils because we know it's not good for our heart. So yeah, it's best that you process your own food because I'm telling you, the moment it's processed and put in the package, guess what? You're going to have the 3 big ones in there some kind of way.
That's
so
right.
salt, oil, and fat. All right. And so, yeah, I have just learned. Now, in my journey, Chef AJ, and it's been a journey. I would, in the beginning, buy some processed stuff, you know, but now through educating and learning that, hey, if you want optimal health, you need to buy it whole, bring it home and process it yourself.
That's right.
That way you can control how much added sugar is in there and what type of added sugar, you know, how much salt, if you're using salt, right? And oils. Well, we don't use any oils, but some people do, but we don't. Nope. So you can control those things, those substances, as Dr. Goldheimer would say. It's not food. Yeah. They're just added substances that's added to food to make it taste better. Right.
Absolutely. I know what exactly we say, that fool your brains to tidy mechanism that cause you to exponentially overeat.
That's exactly, that's so true. That's exactly what it does. That's so true. So absolutely. So
is there anything you guys missed from your previous lifestyle food-wise? Did you ever experience cravings, or did you early on? And if so, what did you do about them?
Okay. In the beginning, for me, I was a seafood person. Yeah. Honey. I used to love me some crab legs and I just love seafood. Yeah. But when I started learning about what animal products does to my body, right? In my mind, it was a struggle the first 6 months, but I stayed out of the restaurants.
Oh yes,
that would have them.
That's real, honey.
And but I stayed away, and I kept feeding my mind with the information to remind myself why I don't need to be eating no seafood. It's causing harm to my body. So I'm not going to sit there and knowingly eat rat poison if I know it's poison for my body. And so for me, in my mind, it's just how I think. Everybody's different. I had to transition from no longer seeing that as a food for my body, because we eat food to nourish our bodies, right? So, but the first 6-7 months, it was extremely hard because I love seafood. And we used to go to this Chinese restaurant that it had seafood there, and I could just sit and eat crab legs all day long. And so but once I learned what all animal-based foods do to our bodies,
which includes fish,
and seafood,
that's right.
It's I'm like, I'm not eating that anymore, you know. So that was a hard one for me with seafood. But other than that, I can truly say I don't miss anything, because everything I have is good. And then some of those dishes that I used to eat standard American diet, like mac and cheese, for an example, it's a plant-based version of that, right? So we're not being deprived of mac and cheese. Like my kids, they love mac and cheese, right? So if there's anything that I used to have standard American diet, I always try to make it a plant-based version. And if there's a will, there's a way, honey. That's what I say. And so everything that I've thought of, like over the holidays, I came up as a kid, we used to eat candied yams during the holidays. And candied yams is full of butter and white sugar and all kinds of stuff you just put in there to make them taste like candy. And so this holiday, and I hadn't had candied yams anyway, and oh my God, a long time, 5, 6, 7 years, especially since going plant-based. I'm like, well, no, you putting butter in there, we don't do butter. Not even the vegan butter, okay? Butter is butter, all right? We're not doing that. So over the holiday, I came up with a candied yam where I took out all the bad stuff, the oils and the white sugar, and we added in all the good stuff. And that was fruit. We sweetened it with fruit and nothing but the fruit. And my kids swore up and down that it was candies, right? And so So there's no deprivation living a plant-based lifestyle,
Yeah.
you know. And again, I don't miss eating meat.
Right.
Even when we first went plant-based, Chef AJ, you know, what they call it, the faux meat, so the transitional, like the bacon and the, you know, the fake meat.
Yeah, fake stuff. Yeah.
In my head, I saw this fake food. I'm like, this ain't real food. If I'm not going to eat meat, I'm not going to be sitting there eating fake meat. I mean, you know, just in my head, I couldn't bring myself to eat it. And I brought it like 1 or 2 times for the bacon for the kids. And then I saw all the ingredients and I said, well, I got all the ingredients here in the house. I can make it. Of course, I never did, but I just sort of stopped buying those types of meats because I saw them as, well, first of all, if I'm not going to eat meat, I don't need fake meat. And I know some people need that early in their transition to help them transition. But for me and my thinking, I was like, if I'm not going to eat meat, I'm not going to sit here and eat meat that look like meat. You know what I'm saying? And that was just for me. Now, everybody's different. There's nothing wrong with the transitional meats. Some people need that, and that's okay. But, you know, you still can't live off of highly processed, even vegan food, because you know, if you want optimal health. So so yeah, for me, it was the seafood. And I, you know, still to this day, I can tell you, I can remember what they taste like, but I no longer see it as food for my body. And now that we're learning about the environment and how the environment is being destroyed through, you know, the seafood industry and the meat industry and all of that, then, you know, I don't even miss it. I don't miss it. So I'm sorry, I didn't even take up all your time.
That's okay, Queen.
But did you miss anything from?
Well, I don't necessarily miss anything because I said in the beginning that I'll make the transition if you do what? Can make some dessert. So I'm the dessert guy. So I never missed anything. So that was really cool for me. And then when we initially transitioned to a whole food plant-based lifestyle, we didn't go out to any restaurants. So I didn't have anything to eat but what was in the house. And what mama did in the house and what mama cooked in the house, dad ate. So I was good to go. I had my desserts. I had my good food. I was straight. You know, every now and then, you know, it's funny because you sit back and you say, well, wow, how's that chicken taste? Once I learned out that it wasn't really the taste of the chicken, it was the seasoning of the chicken. That was the key for me. I said, oh, so it's not really the chicken. It's what's on the chicken and what they cooking it with. Okay, great. So that did it for me. So the desserts, so I never had to worry about that.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. I love what you said, Faith, about if I wasn't going to eat it when it was meat, why am I going to eat fake meat? I couldn't agree more. I'm curious, how old were your children when they transitioned to this?
Wow.
Okay, so Destiny's 14, 7. So she was 7. Jermaine is 10, going on 11.
He was 3.
He was 3, and Jeremiah was 2.
Yeah. So 2, 3, and 7.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You know, I remember hearing you speak at a conference in Las Vegas once, and people asked, well, how do you, because your kids eat really healthy. They don't just, I mean, they eat vegetables at breakfast. I mean, they eat as healthy as Dr. Goldhammer. And people said, well, how do you get them to eat healthy? And I remember you said something like, well, that's what I feed them. They don't have a job or a car. But so many parents just feel like they have to give their kids sugar and unhealthy food or they'll feel deprived. Your kids don't look or seem deprived to me at all.
No, but you know, different strokes for different folks, Chef AJ. Like I said, once I learned, and maybe for some parents, they haven't been educated enough, right? But for me, I had very early in our walk, like first 90 days, I had got all this information. And I said, there's no way in heck I can allow my kids to sit here and eat this stuff. And I know it's killing them, right? And so for me, it was a no-brainer. Now I did take time and I worked with them to transition them, but I had the end goal in mind. And like I said, it took me about 6 months to fully transition them to a plant-based lifestyle. But yeah, it's a no-brainer in my house. They don't have, they do have options. You want broccoli or cauliflower, right? You want beans or rice or both. You can have both. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So they have plenty of choices. It's just not the choices that most people will consider, you know, you allow kids to have, right? So yeah, they got plenty. I mean, they have cookies and cakes and pie. I mean, I fix all that for them. It's just plant-based. So your choices are plant-based choices,
Right.
all right?
That's right.
And that's basically it.
That was it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're not deprived,
Right.
right? Kids do what we do.
Mhm.
They do what we do. And
Yeah,
if you keep the house clean,
Mhm.
right, and provide, this is what we're having for dinner, this is what
Right.
we're having for breakfast. If they get hungry enough,
Yeah, they'll eat.
they'll eat it. And if they don't, in my house, well, we don't have that problem
No, we
now.
don't.
But early
didn't have
on, and there was some days, Chef AJ, I cried. Lord, Jesus, I went in the room and cried, but I sort of kept a firm face here. And Will, he was like, Queen, just let him have it, just get. And I was like, nope. And one night I was like, go to bed. You don't want it? Go to bed. And the next morning they woke up. I had the same plate sitting there in front of them. And they got hungry enough and they ate it. And now guess what? They love those foods.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, my kids eat Brussels sprouts at breakfast. You know what I'm saying? But no doesn't mean never, right? And I think a lot of parents feel like if they say no one time, oh, well, I guess then we can't have that no more. Here you go, Johnny, do you? No, no don't mean never, just mean I haven't been exposed enough.
That's it.
Right? And I believe research shows that it takes about 15 tries,
20,
attempts
30. Mm-hmm.
to at least consider it and accept the food.
Mm-hmm.
So
then another 15 to like it.
Right. So it's just a series of exposures.
That's right.
Just keep putting in front, and then find out what they didn't like about the dish and what they would like to have added, and add it to it if that's going to help them eat it, right? So that's just my philosophy and how I think and how I parent my kids. And everybody parent differently. Right. Some parents want to be their friend, right? But I'm mom, all right. And I do give my kids choices, but it's just within my parameters of what I feel was best for them, because I'm the parent. We're the parent. That's it. We know what's best for them. Absolutely. And so, and all the time, they're not going to understand. Nope. But over time, after a while, by and by, they do. Yeah. So yeah, they don't work a job. They ain't paying no bills. You're going to eat what's provided, what we eat. Right? That's right. So, and that's basically my mindset. Yep.
I love the example you're setting. And I love what you said. No doesn't mean never, because so many people try to do this and eat healthier for themselves, but continue to feed the kids crap. And I'm not making a judgment about it, but I'm just saying it has to be difficult, because could you imagine keeping the weight off if you had to have all those previous foods in your house for them?
Yeah, it's extremely hard. It is extremely hard. And like I said, I know for me, what I did with my kids, like, the junk or the meat or whatever, especially at dinner time, I would start putting more vegetables and starch on their plate and put the meat there. And I always had a decadent dessert. Yeah. And I set some table rules. I said, before you eat the meat or the dairy or whatever it was, or the processed food, you have to eat your vegetables, your fruit, your, so on and so forth, your potatoes, whatever it is, you have to eat that first, or your oatmeal. We're trying to do the cereal thing. You got to eat that first before you can get this. And over a period of time, I just began to increase their veggies, and I would sprinkle little brags on there if that's what they needed to make it taste good, or make some plant-based cheese, or you want some ketchup? Okay, put a little ketchup on there, and do whatever I had to do to get them to eat it. And then over a period of time, I would start increasing the veggies and the starches, and they would have to eat those items first before they would eat the meat or the dessert. And over a period of time, my kids were like, Mom, I'm full. I don't want the meat, but I gotta eat. I want the dessert. I said, okay, well, and I just started throwing meat away, but it had to be their decision, right, to throw the meat away and not eat it. And that's how I was able to transition them. And I just started making a portion smaller and smaller and smaller, meat or dairy, or whatever the junk food I was trying to get out of them, and increase the volume of the good tasty plant-based foods. And table rule, you have to eat this first before you eat that. And they will be so full from over a period of time, from the veggies and the potatoes or the beans or the oatmeal or whatever, that they wouldn't even want the junky stuff. And so, and that's how I transition them. And then over a period of time, I'm like, I'm throwing money out the window. I'm not buying anymore.
Right.
And that's how I was able to transition them. So,
and we talk to our kids too. We explain to them, even at 2 and 3, they understand. And definitely Destiny at 7, she understood. Right. So they understood. They said, Mom and Dad are eating healthy like this, and we want you to be healthy. So we explained to them. It wasn't like, we just went out and said, oh, this is what you're going to eat. There's, because we knew that they was going to have to deal with their peers and have to, when their peers say, hey, you want a hot dog? They say, no, or we don't eat like that. Well, why don't you eat like that? We knew that they were going to be going through some type of peer pressure. So we had to prepare them, even at an early age, to be able to sustain themselves when they weren't around us throughout the day.
Right. Yeah. So it's a journey, even for the kids, and they 99.5% of the time, they are good to go. Every now and again, they be like, Mom, and they'll come home and tell Mom at school, so and so and so. And then I explained to them, I said, well, why did you choose that or whatever the case? And we just try to talk it through. But educate them. But kids do what we do. They model our behaviors. Whatever we do as parents, that's what they do. So,
that's right.
So I just.
Well, considering your 14-year-old daughter is 6'1", I don't think this stunted her growth at all.
No,
that's the truth.
She's growing, all of the kids are growing straight up, and she's most of the time. All my kids are the tallest in their class for their age group.
That's right.
Destiny's the tallest, on her basketball team and in her school, and my grandkids, they're the tallest in their, in their school and on the cheerleading team and on the football. And it's the food, and I look at the other kids and my heart just go out to them. And because children are products of their environment, right?
Yes.
I look at the kids and I look at the parents, and most of the time, if the kids heavy set, the parent is heavy set, and I say, it's not the kid's fault. It's not even the parents' fault. We just all have to be educated.
Yes.
And I think, again, I don't know no parent, once you find out the information about the effects of dairy on our bodies, and young girls starting their cycle early, and breast cancer and all. There was no way, Chef AJ, I could sit and let my kids consume that food.
Right.
I mean, it was no way.
Right.
I just, and let me back up. Maybe because I believed what I read, because some people don't believe what they, information they've been exposed to. But I have read too much truth already.
Yes.
From the China study, and Prevent Reverse Heart Disease, and Dr. McDougall, the STAR Solution. And I had just read too much truth already. And I could not, within my heart, allow my kids to continue down that path. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So.
Good for you. Now, I know that Will said at the beginning he was willing to do this as long as he had delicious desserts. Are you able to tell us or show us one of the delicious desserts that you make to keep your family healthy?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I actually had 2 recipes I wanted to share with you today. I don't know. You want me to do dessert first?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I just love to see you cook. I know he kept saying, as long as there's dessert.
Exactly. Well, how about I do I wanted to share a hearty vegetable lentil stew, and then we'll end with dessert. But being plant-based, you can't eat your dessert first, right? Okay.
Yes.
But I already have the lentil stew ready, but I'm gonna demonstrate how to throw that together. And literally, we're gonna throw it together.
Yes, literally.
Okay. And then we'll do the dessert last. Okay.
Yes.
Will that be okay?
Sounds great. It sounds great.
Okay, great. So I will be sharing with you, just bring the Instant Pot. Yes, the whole Instant Pot. I will be sharing with you today our hearty vegetable lentil stew that we normally eat on a regular, Chef AJ, especially when it's cold. So we're going to be sharing with you today how we make our hearty red lentil stew.
Yes.
And it is very easy. Oh, here you go, baby.
Okay.
Very, very easy when you have an Instant Pot. Now, I don't know. Do you have an Instant Pot, right, Chef AJ?
I'm down to 3. At one point, I had 7 when I was teaching a lot of cooking classes. But yes, I have every size, 3, 6, and 8.
I do too, girl. I have one for every eye on the stove. When I found out about the Instant Pot, I had to get, I think I started with the 8 quart, the 6 quart, And then I got 2 minis. So I can't live without my Instant Pot. So we're going to put this on saute for right now. And this is red lentil stew. So we start with some something in this pot here. Hold on 1 second.
I can get it straight.
That's all right. That's all right. Okay. So we're going to begin with, can you see this? Okay.
Yep.
Got some minced garlic. We'll dump in here. Put it in there. Okay. And we're going to get some frozen mushrooms out of the freezer. Like I said, I like this stew because you can dump everything. Let's see, what is that? I have the scissors here. You can do everything from the freezer practically, okay? So like I buy these veggies from Walmart and we're just gonna dump them into the Instant Pot. We have this mushrooms. We have the seasoning blend and it has some green peppers, onions, celery, and some parsley in there. So we're gonna dump that into the Instant Pot. Okay, what else I need? We're going to add some carrots. And these are all frozen vegetables, straight from the freezer.
That makes it so easy when you use frozen vegetables.
It is. I tell you, I mean, I'm in the pleasure trap when it comes to buying those frozen veggies because they're just so convenient. Okay. So what else do we need? The minced garlic, the mushrooms, the seasoning blend, the carrots, okay?
Cauliflower?
The cauliflower, add that last.
Okay.
All right. So I like to put my Instant Pot on the saute mode so they can start cooking the onions and the celery and all that. And we're gonna add our spices in. And here I have some rosemary, some thyme, some Miss Dash table blend, and ancho child pepper. So we're gonna pour that in. We're also going to put some curry in here, and this is smoked paprika and curry. So we'll put that in, right? And AJ, I really do try to, at all costs, not to add any sodium to our dishes, okay? And I'm super excited because I found out about this new spice called sumac. Well, it's not new, but it's new to me. Actually, as a matter of fact, let me show you what the packaging looks like. So this sumac has been a light. Am I saying it right? Sumac?
Sumac, I think, but yeah, I hear it tastes a lot like salt.
It does. It really do. Now you have to be careful because when you buy it, there is some with some added sodium, but this one is straight up sumac. There's no added sodium, but it is very salty. Okay, so we're going to add some sumac to our stew.
Yeah.
We're gonna add some sumac to our stew, and let me see what else I got. Did I put the bay leaves in here? I think I did.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And next, normally this begins to saute and I stir it up, but that's okay. We're going to add some cauliflower, and again, this is frozen cauliflower. We're going to add some corn. So you see, we're loading up on the veggies, Chef AJ. I have some sweet potatoes. Some sweet peas. Got some sweet peas we're adding in here. I have some Yukon Gold potatoes. We're just going to dump in here in the Instant Pot. Okay. Any foreign food yet? No. Everything we can pronounce? Yes. Okay, so we're good. So we have some red lentils. This is also good with the yellow split pea. Sometimes I'll do half and half, but today I only had the red lentils, so that's fine. But it's really, really good. And then we're going to dump in some veggie stock. Now, I like to use the Kitchen Basics unsalted veggie stock. So we're going to pour that in, just a whole container, just dump it on in. Put
And, you know, people have to understand it's not like you live near a Sprouts, Whole Foods, or Trader Joe's. You shop at regular grocery stores.
Walmart, Aldi's, and Kroger. That's what, yeah, my Whole Food store is an hour away from me. So, and when we first went plant-based, we actually traveled to Whole Foods a couple of times, and it was just too laborsome, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, why am I making this difficult? Walmart, go to my local grocery stores and make this happen. We're gonna add 2 cups. I'm sorry, this is reduced balsamic vinegar. Okay, that I just added. I'm sorry. And we'll add 2 cups of water. Okay. And what we're gonna do, Chef AJ, is just give this all a quick. Can you give me another spoon?
Sure.
I'm sorry. Hold on one second.
Big spoon?
Yeah. Just rinse it off. Okay. Rinse it off. Yeah, we make this work with Walmart, Aldi's, Kroger's, our local store. And then the Asian markets. Oh my goodness. The Asian markets have like the Japanese sweet potatoes. Sometimes they have the Okinawan sweet potatoes. So the Asian markets are hidden jewels. So if you have an Asian market in your local area, you can find a lot of plant-based options there too as well. That's good on that.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to I have rinsed the what do you call these red lentils so they don't get a little hard. But normally I just give everything a quick stir through. Just quick stir through. My lentils got a little hard, but that's okay. It got hard from being rinsed. That's okay. And then we're going to lid our Instant Pot. Okay, so we're going to lid the Instant Pot and put it on the front view.
All righty.
Okay.
There we go.
You can't really see the Instant Pot. Put it back on. Put it back on the front, Monte. Okay. So we lid our Instant Pot. You want to make sure that the valve is closed, and we're going to put it on the manual for 15 minutes. Okay. We let that cook for 15 minutes. I like to do the natural release. Okay. If you want, you can do the quick release, but I like doing the natural release. And then once it's done, we take the lid off and we stir it up, and we're going to dip out some stew. So we're going to transfer this pot, babes, to give me the other pot. Right. And that's just how simple that is. You just dump, turn on the Instant Pot, let it cook, and you got dinner.
That looks amazing. And your kids love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we eat this a lot during the winter. Lentil stew, it's amazing. I love it. I mean, it's really, really good. The kids love it. Yes. Yep. They actually request it, especially when it's really cold. Yeah. So I have made up some stew, and it's gonna thicken a little bit. So let me stir it up.
I mean, you can't even tell that there's vegetables in it once it's cooked.
Yeah, that's true. Everything sort of cooks down. I don't know if you can see that or not. Okay, so I'm just gonna give this a quick stir through because it's been sitting. That's the beauty of having 2 Instant Pots. You can batch prep.
Are you able to freeze any of this, Faith?
Sure. You can definitely freeze this. Now, AJ, I'll be honest, I don't do a lot of freezing because food don't last that long around here, but you can freeze this stew if you want. Give me a paper towel. Okay. So I'm gonna dip some out. So you see that? You got the corn and the cauliflower and the peas and the carrots and everything in here. I'm gonna wipe this bowl off, AJ.
That looks so thick and rich and delicious.
It is amazing. Let me wipe this bowl off. Yes. I don't like ugly plates. There we go. Okay. Sorry, let me put this on. So you see that, Chef AJ? That's lentil stew, and it is hearty. I mean, very filling. Sometimes the kids may like to have little vegetables on the side, but that's still hearty lentil stew, and it is amazing. Look at that. I mean, it's just thick and rich. Look at that. They're good.
Good thing your name is Queen because it's fit for a queen.
Oh,
Hey.
you got that right. Yes, yes.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's our hearty lentil stew. So now have main course out of the way. Now we're gonna make room for some dessert.
Yes.
Okay, please get that out of the way.
And some people that might be new to this summit, they're like, oh, but there's, starch. I can't eat starch.
I feel sorry for you. That's all I got to say, honey, because I mean, vegetables are great, but they don't keep you full long, right? It's very nutrient rich and dense and all of that. But I swear you eat a plate of kale and next hour you could be wanting to eat again because they're very low in calories. So if you're avoiding starch, honey, you're not going to have a very happy plant-based life because starch is starch. I would say starch is king and veggies are queen. I mean, you just gotta have the starches, okay? So let's go ahead and put that on the front view.
Okay.
Dr. McDougall would love that. Starch is king, veggies are queen, and together you have the keys to the kingdom.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
That is so true. So true. I mean it. So
absolutely.
Yeah, you got to have the starch. Okay, so let's switch.
Okay.
And next we're going to make a yam sundae. Now, when Will and I had dropped down to the 129, we was really avoiding all processed starches, flour products and all of that. And like I said, my husband, he loved desserts, any kind of baked good. He's a cake man.
Yeah.
But at that point in our journey, we were avoiding all flour products. And so he was like, Queen, I want some cake. Well, thank heaven for the Japanese sweet potato.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
The Japanese sweet potato, if you have not had that, is like cake.
Yes.
Let me get some so you can see what it looks like.
Yeah, it was awesome. It's awesome.
Okay. So give me the overhead.
Okay.
So these are Japanese sweet potatoes. And you see they're red on the outside, but they're creamy on the inside, and they are so good. So we're going to use the Japanese sweet potato as our cake. You know, the little cake you have when you have sundaes. And we're going to use that for the cake. And then we're going to make some nice cream, also using the Japanese sweet potato. So we're going to start with the nice cream first. Okay. And it's going to be really, really simple to make, Chef AJ.
Can't wait to see it. And you're making it in a food processor.
Yes. I found out about this way probably about 4 months ago on YouTube. And I don't even know who it was I was watching. And they used a food processor to make their nice cream. And it was so much easier because, sometimes your blender gets bogged down. Turn to the front view.
Okay.
Sometimes your blender get bogged down and you got to sit there and use a tamper and all of that. And if you don't have a high-speed blender, it could really overwork your blender. And then if you're using a blender, sometimes you have to wait, 10, 15 minutes, let the banana thaw out. Well, with the food processor, you don't have to wait. You can just add your bananas, your milk, and start blending, and it'll break it down. That takes about 3 to 4 minutes, depending on your food processor, but it'll break down the bananas so easily. Okay, so we're going to use our food processor today to make our nice cream. And the nice cream, let's see, go with the overhead then. Okay, let me move this out the way so y'all can see. All right, so the nice cream is going to be some milk, and these are like 6 tablespoons of milk. Oh, you can't see that, can you? There you go. So we're going to add some milk. All right. And then we're going to add 1/2 cup of, actually, let me put the bananas in first.
All right, I'm ready for you.
Okay, cool. You can do that part.
Okay.
So we're gonna take 4 large bananas and put them into the food processor. And they're frozen, very ripe. I always keep frozen bananas in the freezer. Every well-stocked plant-based kitchen keep frozen bananas, okay? Yeah, you can put them in.
Did you say 2 of these?
Yes, yes, yes. That'll equate to 4 frozen bananas. Okay.
All right. Yes.
And see, this is Japanese sweet potato. Look at that. That is butter. Okay.
They taste like, to me, they taste like cake. I mean, they're
That's like cake. They actually have a vanilla taste to them. I mean, these are amazing. These are like, they're just amazing. Yes. So I thought I had lived just having an orange sweet potato, but honey, once I was introduced to these Japanese sweet potatoes, oh my God, you haven't lived until you've had a JSP and an Okinawan sweet potato.
Yeah.
So we're going to do, set that to the side. Okay. So we have our frozen bananas here. We're going to go with some vanilla bean powder. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And we're going to go with 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla bean powder. Just drop that in there. And then 1/2 cup of the Japanese sweet potato. And basically, Chef AJ, we are just going to let this blend. This out the way, just for a moment. We'll go with the full view.
Okay.
Okay. So we're just going to basically let this blend in the, or process, should I say, in the food processor. Now you may have to use, I like to use my spatula to move some of the bananas around if they stay up at the top, but it'll blend in no time short. So you ready? This is going to get noisy. Okay. All right, Chef AJ. So
about how many minutes would you say you processed that for?
is that about 3 to 4 minutes, probably?
About 3.
Yeah, about 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, look at that.
I mean, it's creamy.
Look at how creamy this is. So,
it is creamy.
I mean, just it's amazing, Chef AJ. The monitor don't even do it justice. Okay. So, and I love seeing the vanilla bean specks on there. But yes, we use the sweet potatoes in here. And someone would say, why would you put sweet potatoes in your ice cream? Well, the traditional banana ice cream, often you put like nut butter in there to give it the creaminess or just that extra profile flavor that you're looking for. Well, the Japanese sweet potato does that without adding the fat. So this is another way you can make your ice cream creamy and just have that decadent feel and taste in your mouth without all of the extra calories and the added fat. So we're going to make a yam sundae, and we can go to the front view. They put the dishes here. Can you, they can't see the front view. We're going to go with the overhead.
Okay.
Go back with the overhead. There you
Okay.
do.
There you go.
Got that? Okay. So we're going to make a yam sundae using yams or sweet potatoes, okay? So we have our Japanese sweet potato, and I just cut them like in little discs, okay? We're going to put that on the plate like this. And I'm going to take my ice cream scooper. I'm going to dip some ice cream on top. And then we'll go with another disc. Yep. And we'll go with some.
Okay.
You can't see it, right?
Okay.
Go with another scoop. Now, if you want, we can go with however many stacks you want. Let's see, go to front view. Yeah. So can you see that's sort of like 2 stacks of yams. Now, if you want to get real fancy, you can go with one more, whatever floats your boat, okay? All right, it's all good because it's all plant-based and it's low fat, all right? So, and you top it with one more scoop.
Oh my God, that looks unbelievable.
And then we have some strawberries that's been, what's the fancy word, Chef AJ?
Macerated.
Macerating in chocolate balsamic vinegar.
Yes.
Now, you're talking about something amazing. Oh my God, this is amazing. So we have some strawberries. Do the top view.
Top view.
Oh my
Right there. And you just put it on however much you want, however little you want. Okay. Whatever makes you feel good about yourself. All right. And then we're going to put a couple of blueberries up here, I guess, if that's what makes you happy too. Right. And then if you're okay with the extra nuts, you can add some walnuts if you want. All plant-based. All plant. Let's go to the front view.
Okay.
Front view, look. I don't know if you can see this. But look, no deprivation.
So decadent. So
No.
decadent.
Yes. So this is our yam sundae. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it is. Can I say it is on our website?
Of course you can. Well,
Yes.
we can link to the recipes.
Yes, definitely. So this is a yam sundae, honey, and it don't get any better than this. Sweet potatoes, bananas, berries, walnuts, and chocolate balsamic vinegar.
Yes.
Oh my Lord. So
Yes.
yeah.
And I bet you the kids love it too.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh yes, honey. So
Yes.
taste that. So there you have it, a yam sundae. And
So-
we had our hearty lentil vegetable stew.
Yes.
And that's how we eat here at the
That's
Scott's
it.
house. We just eat plants. We
Yep.
eat
So
plants.
Will and Faith, I have one final question for you. What's
Yeah.
the real truth? What's the real truth about weight loss?
Wow.
The real truth about weight loss is whether or not you're eating majority plants, all plants, okay? If you want optimal health. That's the real truth about weight loss.
About
It
plants.
is the food. More specifically, it's about eating more plants.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chef AJ, for having
you,
us.
Chef
Take
AJ.
care.
Thank you so much.